Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering creativity. I'm Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Patricia Mooradian, who serves as president and CEO of the Henry Ford. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Aaron. It's always a delight to be with you. We appreciate all you do for arts and culture in this country of ours.
Absolutely no, and it really has been my honor. I have been able to and have the luck and honor to be able to see your leadership and work, obviously up close, the Henry Ford in our region of Southeast Michigan, but has not only a national but global presence, and just your leadership stands at the pinnacle, I think, of not just arts and culture sector, but just across all sectors. So I am so excited to be able to talk. And I thought first it would be great just for anyone in our audience who may not be familiar with the breadth of what the Henry Ford is. Could you just kind of share? I know it's really hard to do in a brief time, but just kind of that quick overview of the breadth of what is the Henry Ford.
Well, I'd be delighted to. Well, we're an American history destination. We're located in Dearborn, Michigan, which is just a 10-minute drive outside of Detroit, 250-acre National Historic Landmark campus. We have the museum, Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation, that really looks at innovation in America as a big part of our history. We have Greenfield Village, 83 historic structures, outdoors, beautiful, beautiful outdoor facility with some really wonderful, unique, and original structures that have been moved from all over the country to this location in order to preserve them. We have a high school on our campus, a giant screen theater. We have the Benson Ford Research Center that houses our 26 million artifacts that we call the Collection of American Innovation. So it is a pretty extraordinary place. In addition, we're not formally connected to Ford Motor Company, but we do work with Ford on many, many different projects, and they own and we run the Ford Rouge Factory Tour for them, which is part of our destination. So lots to do and see. You can spend a week or a weekend or a day and see a lot of really great things.
Well, it truly is extraordinary, and especially the breadth. And just for anyone in our audience, if you have not in person experienced the Henry Ford, I encourage, it is like no other experience. And so literally the place is extraordinary, but then of course there is all of this innovative programming that is always taking place along with education. And this, as everyone in our audience knows, America's 250.
It's huge. That's a huge year for us and a huge year for our country. And we are planning to celebrate it all year long. We're calling it America 250 years in the making. Given our collections and the stories that we tell, I think we're perfectly positioned to really present these stories in a pretty dynamic way. We do a lot of, as you mentioned, special programming all year long. We will theme a lot of that special programming to help celebrate America's 250th. But we're also going to do a few other really key things that we haven't done before, which I know you and I have talked about. The centerpiece of one of these things that we're doing is the Jackson Home. And the Jackson Home was moved here, the first building to move here in 40 years. It is a home, a structure from Selma, Alabama, where Dr. Martin Luther King used this home, the Jackson's home, to plan and strategize for the march from Selma to Montgomery for voting rights. This was a personal home of the Jackson family. The daughter of the Jacksons, Joanna Jackson, the only surviving relative, asked us to move it and put it in Greenfield Village because the story is so significant. So we timed that opening, that reconstruction, the whole thing with the celebration of America's 250th. So it is going to be opening in June. So people can check our website for all the exact information, but we plan to do a whole 3-day block party to celebrate throughout Greenfield Village. It will be quite something. And I will tell you, this home is such a critical part of the history and fabric of this country, and it's a perfect timing to open it. These stories need to be understood and preserved, and that's exactly what we're doing. So that's just one component of our celebration.
Exactly. And just before we get into more, because it's something that I've noticed, and so I'm curious as leading ultimately all of these efforts. One of the extraordinary things I've felt, especially in Greenfield Village, is not just learning, reading something that says here's, something that occurred in history, but being in the literal space, that somehow your sense of it and your sense of your own place in the context of history and what happens is so powerful. And just wondering, as you were thinking about that, like how did you envision that for the Jackson House and for the experience of someone who comes to be in this space?
Right. We talk a lot here about immersion, that putting your hands on things, feeling things, being in the spaces where something important took place. People will be able to go into this home and see things that Dr. King used. Chairs he sat in, the dining room table where he wrote and drafted much of the Voting Rights Act, the bed he slept in, the pajamas he wore. I mean, this house comes with all of that, and the stories we will bring to life are from 1965 when all that activity took place. So that immersive, engaging experience is really how people learn, how they can maybe feel as close to as they could feel to what really took place there, so they can be inspired to think about maybe things they haven't thought about before, maybe something that they feel they can do to move our country forward in unique ways. So we will also attach in the back, we will have an exhibit space that talks about that story and what took place there. And a lot of stories of people that did extraordinary things, ordinary people. And that's what's so unique, is that these things were done by people who were just like you and like me, everyday people who really stepped up, had a vision, had an idea, and really took hold of it in a special way.
It's truly, truly incredible. And so that, while it is very, very significant, is just one of a number of things you're doing for America's 250. Are there other kind of key things that we should know about, and that for you and for the Henry Ford kind of stood out? We want to, either shine a light or create an experience around this aspect of this moment in the history of our country.
And there are a lot of collections that we have that aren't out on the floor. We have in our collection over 26 million artifacts, and I'm told there's only about 6% that are actually out and in use. And so we often think about how can we expose people to other things that we have. So we're going to be putting two unique exhibits together, one in our smaller collections gallery. It's about 1,500 square feet. And that exhibit is called Handmade: The Crafting of America. America was built on innovation and inventiveness and creativity and entrepreneurship. And so we plan on showcasing some of the things that made us who we are, but that were handmade. These things in our collection haven't been out in a long time. So think arts and crafts movement, think weather vanes, think the Shakers. There are many, many things that we have. You'll see over 100 things in the collection that will come out in that gallery. The other gallery that we have is called the Gallery by General Motors. And that gallery, we are hosting a larger exhibition, 7,500 square feet. And it's called The Fabric of America. Our fashion, our textiles, and our technologies. We have one of the best collections of textiles in the country. And because they're so delicate and can't be exposed to light for a very long time, they don't come out very often. Well, we are going to do an exhibit. It's basically 250 years of fashion, what it says about us as Americans, what fashion, how it shapes who we are as a people, as a nation. Over 500 artifacts will come out that maybe have never been out before, that include not just the fashion, but fabric samples, technologies, looms, things that we have that really show the resourcefulness of people, the creativity of people, and it's the story of practicality and how we needed to, dress ourselves and make industry. It's all wrapped into that exhibition. So we're pretty excited about that as well.
It's truly extraordinary. And I can just imagine being able to see that trajectory throughout our nation's history. And of course, the way that the Henry Ford does it, it really is a truly extraordinary. I cannot wait. So unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to ask of all of my guests kind of about this aspect of leadership and, and when times are tough and when are there some administrative or programmatic or funding challenge, et cetera. As a leader, where do you pull? What do you draw on during what otherwise might be the toughest of times? And I just wanted to add a piece to that this time, which is for you and in this unique time, this kind of unique year that we're celebrating the nation at such a milestone. Does that play any part kind of for you, kind of this sense of context of a momentous moments in history at all? And so just kind of was thinking that along with the kind of very pragmatic leadership question.
Mm-hmm. Well, so for your leadership question, I love collaborating and I love our team. And so when times are tough or when we have a tough problem to solve, I really look to who the experts are, whether they're on our staff or whether they're on our board or whether they're out in the community or out in the country somewhere. When we were acquiring the Jackson home, a lot of questions were raised around that. I called a lot of national leaders, colleagues of mine, people I don't know, introduced myself to try and get good information, good feedback. I think asking for help, asking for advice, asking for opinions anytime when you're trying to solve a problem or create something that might be a little bit out of your comfort zone. I think it's important to ask for help, and I think it's okay to not know the answers and to take some risks and try something. And so that answers a little bit of your second question as well, because I think there are so many important things that are happening all over our country in cultural organizations and in other places, in companies, innovations, inventiveness, things with technology, that we need to reach across the country and see what's going on and stay aware and see how we can incorporate ideas or ask for help when we need answers.
Patricia Mooradian, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing at the Henry Ford. Thank you so much for everything you're doing in Southeast Michigan. Thank you for everything you are doing for our nation and for the world. Thank you.
You are so kind, and thank you for shining a light on arts and culture.